Hello and welcome back to the Level Cap Podcast, your podcast for level 99 games, things, derivatives of that, and possibly some news that you may or may not find interesting. I'm your
indeed.
I'm your host, Marco De Santos, and with me is the ever normal Brad Talton Jr., president of Level 99 Games.
As normal, hello everyone.
Hi, how are you, Brad? How are you on this wonderful morning/evening? Again, depending on when your listeners are listening.
I'm feeling the usual amount of normalness today, Marco. Everything is ordinary and expected.
Ah, yes. Yep. Do you always wake up, comb your hair in the exact same way, wear the same tie, same shirt, same khaki pants?
It's easy when you're a vampire. Sparkle, 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 sparkle.
Oh no. Okay, so if you guys don't understand that reference,
all right, previous conversation.
Oh gosh, previous conversation, and probably something you will be interested in when we release a certain episode. Spoilers and stuff. Just wait for it. Just wait for it. It'll be fun.
Indeed it will.
But seriously, how are you? Like, did you have a nice rest?
I'm doing well. I'm doing good. I'm running this Exide Kickstarter. So first order of business, guys, the Kickstarter for Exide is up right now. If you're listening to this and you have not backed for Season 2, 7th Cross, go check it out. It's super cool. The art's super cool. The character balance and design is brand new and polished. And it's up right now. And we want to make better cards and better boxes and also give you some cool extra art cards and extra characters. So I hope you guys will join us for that project.
Yeah, and I need to get on that Twitch stream with you and promptly get crushed by...
Yeah, we've been playing every day on Twitch, a game of Exide or two, and it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed doing this game a day, and I'm probably going to continue doing it after the project ends, just showing off different level 99 games every day, every afternoon. Because, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I
play games. Who would have thought?
Oh man, wait! Are you telling me games are supposed to be fun? I think I've been doing it wrong.
What? Yes, games are supposed to be fun.
Oh no, because I've been subjecting myself. Like clickers and like games where you just increment numbers.
Yeah, if you've been playing like Cookie Clicker, you're doing it wrong.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, you heard that, everyone. If you're playing Cookie Clicker while listening to this podcast, you are absolutely wrong. Stop playing. Play something more fulfilling, like 7th Cross Exide. Back it on Kickstarter.
I could tell you, I give you the whole spiel on Skinner boxes if you want to learn about the theory behind like Cookie Clicker and those kind of games.
Oh, really? Well,
it's the science behind like operant conditioning and such.
Yeah. I
it's
actually right before me is actually a school paper that I wrote specifically about Skinner boxes and ethical design.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same techniques they use in MMOs and, MOBAs and all, basically all these continuous games that you gotta play over and over and over again, even when they're not interesting or novel anymore.
Right. And like the most egregious examples being stuff like, Love Live School Idol Festival, Fate Grand Order, Fire Emblem Heroes.
Yeah. I mean, it's all these little gotcha random reward games.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fun, but they're once the novelty wears off, you keep playing out of habit and routine, and then you've been conditioned.
Spoopy. Actually, we should do that for like level 99 game stuff. That way, people play all the time.
Well, that was actually the theory behind Millennium Blades. Was that like getting random cool stuff is really fun? Why don't we just make a game about that? And so Millennium Blades was born from that idea. But obviously, it's not much of a Skinner box because it ends after 3 hours, and if you can just play it again, but then there'll be new content because hopefully we put enough content it didn't get boring for you.
So wait, what's the tagline to Millennium Blades? Like the CCG simulator?
Yeah, Millennium Blades, the CCG simulator card game.
Man, that's like the wrong slogan. Then you should have just put Millennium Blades, your Skinner box in a box.
Well, I mean, CCGs are a Skinner box to some extent because you want to open those packs and get cards and you're conditioned by opening the pack of cards to buy more cards and get more cards. So it is, I mean, the true CCG experience is some level of Skinner box, but I think there's some point where you have to recognize that humans do enjoy like finding new things and discovery and searching out for that latest card or for that random pack. And so there's a lot of fun in that, as long as there are new things to get and you're doing it out of a sense of discovery and not just out of a sense of duty.
Yeah.
So you have to think about what it is that makes it fun for you, and don't forget about that just because of the environment that you're put in.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the games end up, you just play them out of like force of habit, and like
exactly, yeah.
You're like, I'll play this because like I'll miss out on the login bonus if I don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, login bonuses are one of the most obvious, or the easiest to implement Skinner techniques.
Yeah.
To get you to log in every day for free stuff.
Yeah. Man, great. Now I feel kind of bad for playing Skinner box games.
Well, there's nothing. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying, though. There's nothing wrong with it. If you're discovering new content and you're enjoying that, then it's fine. It's when you stop enjoying the actual gameplay and you start playing just out of force of habit, and you're not enjoying it, and you look at the game and you're like, I'm not enjoying this, but I feel compelled anyway. That's when you've got to step back and stop. But a lot of these games are fun, and they do have cool content, and they're good to play for a while. Just remember that the game has no end, and eventually, when the novelty wears off, you don't want to still be playing it anymore.
Okay. So, we have a very wonderful docket for all of you listeners tonight. We're going to have our usual game club, but it's a very special episode of the game club for reasons why we'll tell you later on. Of course, we have our character of the week and our 99 questions and News 99. So let's move on to our game club game. What's our very special game club game for this week, Brad?
So, given that it's up on Kickstarter right now, Exide is our game club game for this week. So I wanted to talk to you guys about Exide and maybe give you a little bit of the background on the development of the game and, tell you a bit about how it's played and why it's super cool.
Yeah.
So you've played this one too, right, Marco?
Yes.
I'm not going to be all alone here.
Yeah, no, I've obviously played some Exide. I mean, like, of course, not to the degree to which I've played a ton of BattleCon, but I've played a few games of Exide. I can't pronounce his name, Gabrek,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's in his name, right? He grabs people a lot. I'm really bad at him because it's like, I play a lot of BattleCon characters that are like super hit confirm heavy, and he's just like not hit confirm at all. So
yeah, he's definitely the Zangief of the set.
Yeah, he is the Zangief of the set. But yeah, Exide is this very cool head-to-head fighting game, card game thing that is from Level 99 Games. It's a system wherein I feel like on a personal level, it's kind of like if you wanted BattleCon light, that's what Exide kind of is. It's like you want the experience of BattleCon, but don't want to like strategize and think tactically for like 30 minutes per turn. Maybe this is what you want to play because it's much more like fast-paced, much more hectic, quote unquote, and it's like very, very.
Our goal with it was to bring the big idea of BattleCon to the masses. So it takes the same interaction matrix, attack, speed, defense, range, power priority, and puts it into a card game shell. So you take turns back and forth. You have a hand of cards. You'll have draws and discards. You'll have different actions you can do. And so it's kind of like the anti-phase in BattleCon, but if that were the entire game, we just anti back and forth until one of us feels ready to commit to the strike, and then we do the attack. So if you've played BattleCon and you are thinking like, well, BattleCon as like a CCG LCG form of game, like with a draw deck, with a hand, with the back and forth turns, sounds like an interesting idea, then I'd encourage you to check out Exide because it takes that familiar model and brings it all together into BattleCon system. And one of the really cool things about that is that because those elements are familiar, players who have played all kinds of card games find it a lot easier to just pick up and play Exide. And so it's a much easier game to teach than BattleCon, which is a little more on the complex board gamery side of things, whereas Exceed is more on your casual card gamey side of things. Not to say you can't play competitively, because it can be very competitive and very intricate in the way you want to read your opponents, move around the board, and play around their different moves, just like BattleCon. But it's definitely something that's easier to just pick up and go, because the whole game emerges from the deck rather than having all these different options like in BattleCon.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, like years ago, I was making a comment on the playtest forums for Level 99 games, saying something along the lines of like, I love BattleCon, it's really great, but I just sometimes wish that I could go to my friendly local game shop, bring out a BattleCon character and ask, does anybody else have a character? And can we just play a game of BattleCon? Kind of like the way you'd bring your Magic deck to your like local game shop, and usually somebody else in there will have a Magic deck so that you two can just play immediately. And I feel like Exceed was kind of born out of that want, not necessarily from my specific statement, but more of the fact that like probably a lot of people who have played BattleCon have felt the same way. So am I right?
Absolutely.
Am I right in saying that? It's like, is this experience kind of like trying to capture that entire,
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely wanted to bring that to people. The idea of like, take your character, go to the store, and play against other people who are just carrying a character around in their backpack. I don't. Obviously, Exceed hasn't reached the critical mass where you can do that yet, but it's definitely a game where you could do that, because all the materials that you would need to play the game just fit in a deck box. So it's a lot easier and cleaner to carry around and to challenge people, on the street, I guess.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, like, so let's talk about this new season of Exceed. So what's so special about season 2? Mechanics, characters.
Well, so it's got some new mechanics. So every season of the game, we want to introduce new mechanics. And so we got this really cool new one called Transformation, where when you hit people with attacks, those attacks become permanent buffs for your character. And then the series is called Seventh Cross, and it's based on an upcoming adventure board game that we're working on that's going to be available later this year. And Seventh Cross is kind of a Bloodborne meets Dark Souls meets Hellsing meets Castlevania adventure, Monster Hunter sort of game. So it's really cool. It's really stylish. The art, the art that we've got for it has been stellar all around.
Choice.
And in this world, all of the characters are, or all the monsters used to be humans until they were corrupted and transformed into monsters. And so, in this version of the game, all of your characters have a transformation into a monstrous form they can do. And so your characters can actually, mid-game change into these giant monsters and continue fighting like that. Much in the, Bloody Roar or Darkstalkers sort of sense.
Yeah.
So it's got some really cool stuff going on for it. And anyway, I can't recommend it enough, and I'm the designer, so I probably shouldn't recommend it too much. But
I love
check it out for me.
Yeah, I love this world. Like I always rage about Lucia, and thinking that her design's so cool. But you recently were talking about this new character who's based off like that yokai that's like a haunted cart or something.
Yeah. Minato has an Oboroguruma, a haunted car, as his monster form. So we got all the monsters from like around the world. So like Lucia, the Native American character, has a Thunderbird as her monstrous form. Stuff like that. We have an English character that has a Bargeist. We have a like a Chinese character who has a Kirin or Gaki. Depending on which side of her character she's on. So there's just a lot of different cool stuff in there. And it was a lot of fun to design the characters as well.
So quick, one last thing. If you had one sentence to convince someone to buy this game, what is that sentence? Say it now.
I would say go watch us play it, because everybody who plays it has a great time with it. And we're playing games every day on Twitch. So come join us and chat about it. That's
a pretty long sentence, Brad.
It is a pretty long sentence, I guess. Yeah, if I had to convince somebody, the sentence I would use to convince somebody would be, "Come play a game of Exceed with me."
Yeah,
And I think if I can do that, I could convince you that this is a great game.
actually, you know what? I agree with you completely. Let's move on to our next segment. Let's talk about our character of the week. And our character this week is a very special character to my heart because he is long overdue because he is my main character, and his name is Seth Krimmel.
Krimmel, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No. We're not too particular here.
I mean, I know, but like probably there's a big sect of people who listen to this podcast just so that they can pronounce the names of our characters correctly, Brad.
We need to do that bonus episode.
Yeah.
Where I just read a list of names for you.
It'll be like 30 minutes long. Oh my goodness. Anyway, Brad, so can you tell us a little bit about Seth? Where's he from? What's he doing?
Yeah, so Seth is an Imperial Oracle who works for Empress Calamarina of Sanghalim. So Sanghalim is the western desert country in Indians, and it's kind of a Wild West meets Middle East sort of area. It's this big desert. They have all these big rock spires out in the desert, and the cities are built on top of these rocks, so they're above the floor of the desert. And then anyway, it's very it's sort of a tribal area, and it's very religious. So everybody is is quite devout, and like a few hundred years ago, they all united together under the imperial cult, and so Empress Calamarina is the living incarnation of Sanghalia, their water goddess.
Oh,
anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, and so she has all kinds of miraculous healing powers, but this power slowly kills her, and so she's bedridden and doesn't get out very much, right?
Okay.
She just sees people and shares the will of the gods, and occasionally heals somebody if they if their prayers are answered. Anyway, so she has all these attendants, and Seth is one of those attendants. And in addition to having some divine vision and insight of his own, he's also an accomplished fighter. He, is basically a right hand of the Empress sort of character who goes out and does what needs to be done, to the dirty work of the Empire, I suppose. Although in a Holy Empire, there's not that much dirty work to do. There's just undercover.
Yeah. Okay. Of course, because
right.
You have to maintain that image, right? So Seth.
Well, it's not even that much about image. They're just not that into skullduggery. They have kind of complete control of their government and their and their world or their country. So there's not that much to do undercover or under that's not that can't be done in the light.
Okay.
But for anything that you'd have to get out of bed to do, Seth has to go do that for the Empress.
So he's part Oracle, part maid butler.
Yeah, sure. I guess if you want to make him like a combat butler, then that would be the equivalent.
He's essentially a combat butler, Brad. We need this alternate costume. Please, Seth in a suit, with the white gloves. Oh, it would be wonderful. So let's talk about design and mechanics. So, of course, two-pronged attack here. What inspired this design of like some sort of Oracle martial artist fighter, and what inspired his mechanics of prediction and attrition? Because we'll talk about a little bit that later on. Let's talk about his inspiration for his design. What inspired his design?
Well, so the main inspiration for the design is obviously a martial artist who can sporadically see the future. So this is pretty useful in combat if you get a flash of what's going to happen a few seconds ahead as you're fighting. You can win the battle before it starts by adjusting your technique. And so that's the main idea behind Seth, is that if he is able to correctly divine the intentions of his opponent and tell what they're doing, he can absolutely win any exchange that he wants to. And so that's and I'll let you go through the mechanics of that, but I think it plays out pretty well, because if you are too predictable against Seth, then you just get dominated completely.
You get absolutely wrecked, and it's because a lot of Seth's mechanics and a lot of his styles, and especially his unique ability, all allow him to essentially counter opponents' moves if he is able to divine or at least predict exactly what the opponent's trying to do. Especially his unique ability allows him to call out attacks. He can basically shot call. So if he shot calls you correctly, he'll gain like a huge boost in speed and a huge boost in power. And certain cards of his actually work off getting that shot call right, to the point that the correct call essentially leads to you winning the beat and then dealing 5 damage to the opponent without them getting the chance to hit you back. So I feel like Seth really lives out this fantasy that his lore represents. But I want to ask you something that's about his mechanics, because you were telling me about how, he's about divining the intentions of the opponent and making these shot calls. Sure, that's a big part of how Seth plays, but oftentimes I feel like the optimal strategy is actually to not even care about divining what the opponent's trying to do and just be more like, I can literally cover 90% of the possible attack pairs that you will play, and it really doesn't matter what you try to do. Is that something that was intentional, or did it just pop up when we realized that, hey, we can play Seth as a totally safe attrition character that will whittle you down like over 10 turns? Is that intentional, or was it like an accident?
Well, it is not totally intentional. When I design a character, I design them around the thematics and around the skill set they have. And it doesn't always turn out that they play exactly like I expected them to. So, in this case, like, it is one of those moments where, where the way that Seth played optimally turned out to be different than my design. And that was also very true for Luke as well. Like, he was supposed to be a light, fast brawler, and it turned out playing him defensively was way more efficient than playing him aggressively. But it's a different set of skills to design and to playtest and to compete even. So it's pretty natural and pretty normal that the players will discover different ways to play a character than what I intended. And I kind of expect that anything I design is not actually going to end up that way once the players get their hands on it.
So let's end this a bit on Seth. If you wanted to give advice for how you should play Seth, Brad, what would you give, like a sentence? Just one sentence. This is the recurring theme of this episode.
All right. My one sentence would be, listen to Marco, he's the best.
Aw, thanks. And my one sentence would be, counter all the options. No, but seriously, if you want to play a decent Seth, I have a video about it. But long story short, it's kind of like half and half. You have to play it half the way Brad kind of intended you to do it and like shot call a lot. But at the same time, you have to play it half the other way, wherein you play it hyper defensively, because you got to wait for your opponent to leave an opening. And that's when you strike, because sometimes, like, if your opponent plays the wrong attack pair once, it makes them way more predictable. The moment like their dash or dodge is down, it just becomes way easier to guess what they're trying to do. So being really patient with your guesses and with your moves is very important, and is one of the most important things you need to learn when playing Seth. So let's move on to our next segment, 99 questions, which are how many questions at this point? 36 questions? This is episode 12.
If this is episode 12, we'll get up to 36 questions at this point, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, so here's the thing. I want to preface this that somebody said, hey, your segment's called 99 questions, so let's give you literally 99 questions. And now we have 99 questions that are yet to be answered. So we're not going to run out of questions anytime soon. So I guess we're going to go past 99 at this point. So, number 1, let's ask this. What are some lesser-known tabletop fighting games that you enjoy? So, basically they're saying, don't talk about BattleCon, Exide, or Yomi.
Tabletop fighting games that I've enjoyed. So I think that it's a strange sort of category because it's still pretty new.
Yeah.
I really liked Flash Duel by Sterling Games, and that doesn't get as much press as Yomi does, but I liked that one quite a bit. Pocket City, Neon City Pocket Rumble is a nice little one that it's based on the Neon City Rumble, which is kind of it's sort of a cross between Puzzle Fighter and a MOBA type game, but it's kind of cool. And let's see, any other
Dragon Punch
games, and I enjoy UFS as well. Yeah, well, Dragon Punch, of course, but that's one I publish. I assume those were off the table. But well, yeah, Dragon Punch is also quite cool if you can get a copy of that.
Yeah,
it's a little hard to find these days.
I've been meaning to get the copy. I want it. It seems interesting. The problem with me though is that literally I just have BattleCon, Exceed, and Yomi under my belt, so I can't really answer this question. What other lesser known does Mage Wars count? I'm not sure if Mage Wars counts because it's like I'm pretty sure.
I feel like it's in that 1v1 genre.
Yeah, but it's like
because it's destroy the opponent's character to win. So
yeah, but it's like I'm pretty sure it's kind of popular, right? Like it's
Well,
not less.
and I think it's more. It feels more like an RTS than a fighting game because you summon all these minions to to roll across the screen and fight for you.
Yeah, that's true. You end up feeling more like a commander than an actual 1v1 fighting game. So it's kind of in that tenuous grounds. Next question. What is your process for balancing characters against the other characters in a set and against the larger overall character pool? So in Exceed Season 2, do you just test against Exceed Season 2 characters, or do you do the entire whole? So how do you do those sides?
We balance against Exceed 1. The most important thing I think is the foundational system. So in Exceed, in BattleCon you have bases, in Exceed you have normals, and both of those are cards that are shared between both decks. And they kind of form the underlying matrix of interaction between the characters. So if a character's going this fast, this is about the range they're going to have, this is about the amount of defense they're going to have, and the amount of power they're going to have. And knowing that baseline, you can build a character's special moves to get around, 2 or 3 of those normal attacks and to lose to 2 or 3 of those normal attacks. And then, like in BattleCon, you can build a style so that when it combines the base, it tunes the base one step up over 1 or 2 of the other bases that it wouldn't normally beat already. Or it helps it cash out even better against what it does beat already. So respecting the baseline matrix of the base and normal interactions in those 2 games is a good way to balance. As far as pixel tactics, it's mostly just precedent. And then for Millennium Blades, it's some formula to the tune of like star rating times 4 plus 16, I think.
Should be the amount of RP you get for a card.
Is your maximum RP pool on any card. And then if the condition for pulling the RP is really tough, then you get more. And if it's just like get RP, then you get like 50% less than that.
Oh wow! I didn't know. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a formula that goes into the general balance of Millennium Blades too.
All right, that's pretty cool. I like that. Man, now I'm gonna have to reread a lot of the Millennium Blades cards and see if your mathematical formula actually applies.
We'll see. Also, the rarer the card is, you also get a slight buff to power rating as well. And there are a couple that break the curve. Like Exaltius is way better. Like if Exaltius were based on that formula, he'd be like 24 stars or something. So, but for the really cool cards, we break the formula.
Well, he is Exaltius.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I just realized that his name is Exaltius. He's just not exalted. He also causes a large amount of salt because he basically wins every tournament.
Exaltius, he brings forth the salt.
Yeah, he brings forth the salt. Last question. How much playtesting time goes into testing balance? And how does that compare to playtesting time spent making sure the game is actually fun and interesting?
I would say that making the game fun and interesting takes a lot longer than making the game balanced. But once you have an interesting base system, you can work on it for years and years. I mean, so BattleCon took a lot longer to build than any one character or even one box. Like Devastation took us a long time to build, but not as long as BattleCon itself. The same thing for Exceed. Like we make a lot of Exceed characters, but actually creating Exceed was a 1.5 year long endeavor. And Millennium Blades took about 2 years. But then the balancing portion was not nearly as long as that. But once you have a good base system, you can keep making characters and you can keep making, new cards, and you can keep building new expansions and new standalones, and so that base system can continue to be interesting and useful, and you can continue to play it and solve it over and over again multiple times throughout the years. So when you see a designer like say me, where I make my fighting games, or like Uwe Rosenberg, where he makes those great Euro games, and they all kind of have the same underlying matrix. It's because building one of those matrices is such a huge investment but building interesting gameplay on top of one is not too difficult and also a lot of fun. So, and the better you as a designer learn that matrix, the more and better games you'll make. So if you see a designer who makes a game and then he makes another one later, you expect the later one to be even better because now he's got an even better understanding of the effects that can be built on top of that matrix.
He has grown more powerful.
Yeah, exactly. And you see a matrix like take like power toughness. Like power toughness comes out in a lot of games. It's the baseline for Magic, for Hearthstone, for just about every CCG, you know. Yeah, like there's power toughness matrix, and there's certain effects that can be built on top of that. There's haste, there's flying, there's taunt, there's
battle cries, death rattles.
Yeah, exactly. Like all those things kind of flow naturally from the system. But that's also why when you see a lot of these power toughness games, they end up feeling very monotone. They all have kind of the same effects.
Yeah.
And it's because the matrix you use dictates a lot of your effects and a lot of the pace of your game. But anyway, all that to say that you can explore the same gaming matrix for years and years and years and years and keep developing new stuff. But you always kind of want to look for the latest thing from the creator of that system because it will tend to have, it will tend to have taken the art of that matrix to the next stage.
Which is all just a long-winded way of saying Exide Season 2 is better than Exide Season 1.
I didn't say it.
Oh, but you implied. And that pretty much does it for our 99 questions, which are slowly approaching 99 questions. Thanks to all of you guys for submitting all of your questions.
Did we do 3 questions? I think that felt like it was only 2 questions.
That was 3. We asked about what fighting games you enjoy, what's the process for balancing, and how much playtesting time.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right, that's true. Okay, cool.
Right?
Good work, Marco.
Yeah.
Keeping us honest.
Yeah, keeping us honest. We are not untruthers.
Nope, not this time.
Not this time. Oh, okay, and let's move on to our final segment, some News 99. Brad, do you have any wonderful news for all of us in the world of Indies? Specifically, talk to us more about 7th Cross Exceed.
Yeah, well, it's not specifically the world of Indians, I suppose. Actually, I do have one really cool thing that's totally separate from all that.
Okay, go.
And that I want to tell you about. So, Millennium Blades. Let me tell you, Millennium Blades is sold out again.
What?
And
this game is so good.
We're reprinting. We're doing the 3rd printing. Yeah, it's crazy. So this is clearly the best game that we have made in the past millennium, and so I've decided to offer a Game of the Millennium edition for Millennium Blades.
Oh no.
So starting April 1st and for the next 2 weeks, you'll be able to pre-order the Game of the Millennium upgrade pack in our online store. And this pack has a couple cool things. It's got an alternate box cover for Millennium Blades, and it's like a wrap that you put around your box. Holds it all together. Mm-hmm. But it's this really cool box wrap. It's like kind of a parody of the Batman Game of the Year edition. If you guys have seen that.
It has like 10 out of 10 IGN and stuff on top.
It says 1,000 out of 10. It's got all kinds of different all the different reviews that Millennium Blade has gotten are like on the front of, just pasted in different directions. It's got this darker, grimmer Dex, with his trading cards in hand and his eyes all shattered.
Oh, edgy.
Yeah, super, super edgy. It's super fun. It's like the coolest thing. And in addition to that, it comes with alternate costume cards for all of the characters. So each of the characters got a new bonus costume. And there's all 12 of them are in there, and they're super cool. Like Fabio did some really excellent work on these costumes. They're a lot of fun. So check it out on our store. There'll also be an announcement that goes up on April 1st telling you about it. And don't miss out on the chance to get the Game of the Millennium upgrade pack because super cool.
Question: are the alternate costumes purely cosmetic?
Yeah, they're purely cosmetic upgrades.
But of course, that's enough reason to get it, right? This is Millennium
Yeah.
Blades. You do it for the fiction.
When you see these costumes, you'd be like, oh yeah, I gotta own that. They're super cool.
Yeah. So, and this isn't an April Fool's joke. Can we just be very clear about that?
It is, but it's real. Does that make sense? I mean, Millennium Blades is kind of a joke in its own right, and so
yes.
Just like Millennium Blades, the jokes are real. But yeah, you can actually own this thing, and it's gonna be really cool. Just take a look at the front cover, and I think you'd be sold on it.
Okay, we'll probably post the link to that in the description box below. Okay, and do you have any other news? Or, I mean, like, aside from 7th Cross Exceed, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, 7th Cross Exceed is up. It's super cool. I'm continuing to work on the 7th Cross adventure game, which is coming along nicely. We had a really good playtest of it last week. I am hoping to get it up to a state where our playtesters can take a crack at it pretty soon. And we're just looking forward to doing more cool stuff in the coming days. So keep an eye on our website and keep an eye on our newsletter.
All right, and that pretty much does it for News 99. And that pretty much does it for this episode of the Level Cap Podcast. I hope all of you listening at home enjoyed the extra special cool things we have for you this week. Again, if you guys want to send us some comments, some questions, some suggestions for characters of the week, heck, even suggestions for possible future Game Club episodes, do catch us on all of our social medias, the links for which can be found in the video description or at the bottom of this webpage that you're listening to the podcast on. As usual, it has been me, your host, Marco De Santos, and with me is my co-host,
Brad Salton.
And we hope to see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.